I'd like to call the November 9th, 2022 meeting of the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Ask you to remain standing for a moment of silent reflection, prayer for military servicemen serving around the world, as well as for our first responders. Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda today is the public hearing on the rezoning of land 0 Gillette Road, tax map number 119.02-1-6.111. Madam Clerk.
Please take notice that the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing to consider the application of Gillette Road Ogden LLC to rezone from light industrial to R2 residential, a parcel of land presently situated in the town of Ogden, Monroe County, New York. More particularly found and described, the legal notice can be found in the town clerk's office. The town board will hold and conduct such public hearing to consider such application at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Spencerport, New York, on the 9th day of November 2022 at 7 p.m. and at which hearing all interested parties shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The town board of the town of Ogden will also consider at such public hearing and will receive all comments concerning the environmental impacts, if any, of such proposed use of the subject property. A complete application of such application, map, and plan is presently on file with the town clerk's office, where it may be examined by all interested persons during normal business hours.
And our town attorney is not able to be present today. Do you have any little notes? Are those included in what we just?
It's included, yeah, it's included in his report. It's a very minimal.
Nothing specific to this that needs to be just okay. Very good. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this specific matter from the public hearing? Please come forward, state your name and address. Ask away.
Good evening.
No.
William Entrance, 734 Gillette Road. So if they're going to rezone it to an R2, is there any intentions to build anything on it? Part of the reason, I'm just curious, is that my understanding most R2s have to have at least 5 acres to put 2 family dwelling on it. And that's usually what an R2 stands for. Dwelling and I read something with you regarding single family as well. So I guess I'm just looking for clarity on which way is it going? I mean, for all that. And then, don't get me wrong, I understand variances could be given even to probably an R2 saying, okay, you're a little short on your 5 acres. We'll give you a variance.
It's my understanding, Bill, that well, first of all, I'll tell you that there are no plans. There's been nothing submitted. There is no conversations that have taken place regarding building on either of these privately owned, piece of the property. What I do know is that if they wanted to build a separate structure that had to do with more duplexes or anything like that, that there's a process that would have to take place. Do you know, Aaron, if they would have to get a separate, if they would have to split and divide that if they were to build this out? There's something to that nature where I feel like they might even have to come up with a separate tax structure for that specific parcel if they're going to do a separate entity. But regardless, no matter what, anything that they would build, unless it follows code, which the only other thing they can build is up to 600 square foot structure, usually a garage, it would have to go to some other board, the planning board, the zoning board, to ask for variances or to build something new. So there would never be a time where you wouldn't know regarding like a public hearing or something of that nature. So there's no plans, and they would have to go through a process that would be public.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else wish to address the board on this public hearing? Sir?
Good evening. My name is Gary Regoni, and I'm at 71 Shepherd Road. I own the land immediately adjacent to the east of the property. So who owns it? I mean, who owns that land right now? That 4 acres that you're trying to rezone?
It's part of one large parcel that AdQuest is owns.
Okay,
And what they're doing, because we had this thoughtful conversation regarding that site that was sold by a farmer. And we had discussed what would happen with the houses closer to Gillette Road should that portion be developed. We talked about there being a buffer where they would put a retention pond or something that just creates enough space between whatever potential future development comes and those residents. And what they did is, in my opinion, they took an extra measure and they gave a portion of the land to those homeowners that are there. So even if they do build, not only is there that extra buffer that belongs to those homeowners, but then they would build the retention ponds. There would be even more space between those homes on Gillette and where this potential new structure would come from.
so the 2 double house homeowners own that property.
They will once this is approved. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll answer that.
Okay.
The assessor, Bob Cribb, the assessor, my understanding is they're gonna combine the rear lots with the 2 families.
Correct.
So they'll make a buffer.
Yes.
So
They become the property of those residents.
this would be a 2 family with a larger lot. Two families would each have a larger lot.
Very good. Follow-up, sir?
I'm just confused. So the way you described, you talked about the houses on Gillette Road. I thought you were talking about,
It is Shepherd.
and okay, it is Shepherd near there.
Correct.
Oh, okay, it is Shepherd.
It
Okay, so
is.
you're talking on the east side of the creek or the wetland, however you want, not the west side of the wetland you're talking about. Okay, just wanted to get that.
Anything further? All right, I will close the public hearing. Thank you for the conversation. Resolution 239, approval of the October 26th minutes. Moved by, I was going to say legislator. Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Giordano. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay, let's take a second here before we move on. And we have a special item that we have for someone who's retiring. So,
Is that me?
it's certainly with you. So why don't you come forward and I'll present something.
All right. I have a speech prepared.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay. So as many know, we passed a resolution that appointed a new assessor, which means that we have someone that's retiring. And I've got a couple words here that we put together in honor of the retirement, and I just want to take a second to read it. It says, whereas Robert Criddle began his career with the town of Ogden as the town assessor on August 13th, 2021. After over 2 decades, he recently announced his retirement from the town effective November 12th, 2022. Bob has loved serving residents and has always done so with respect, integrity, and fairness. His vast knowledge and experience has made him an invaluable resource to town officials and the community as a whole. Prior to working for the town, Bob serves in various capacities as a residential and commercial real estate appraiser since January 1985. Bob also serves as a part-time assessor for the town of Clarendon in Orleans County, a position he will retain in his semi-retirement. Bob also plans to continue working part-time at historic house parks in the Rochester Southwedge neighborhood and serving as chair of the John H. Way John M. Costello Memorial Educational Fund in the New York State Assessor Association. Bob has earned and received numerous accreditations and awards throughout his career, including the designation of state certified assessor and IAO professional assessor designation and the Robert Osias Professionalism Award. Bob also served as president of the New York State Assessors Association in 2013, 2014. Outside of work, Bob enjoys listening to music, hiking, exercising, and volunteering as a board member of the Business Association of the South Branch. Now, therefore, we, the town board and the town of Ogden, hereby express our utmost gratitude and appreciation to Robert Brittle for his over 21 years of commitment, professionalism, and service to the town of Ogden. Congratulations.
And there's some things you said.
Okay, the board wanted to also present you. Oh.
I appreciate it.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, feel free. And
Yeah, all I want to say that, is to say life is a journey and enjoy the ride. And I've really enjoyed the ride here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You guys want to come forward and we'll just celebrate with Bob with a photo?
Oh,
With photo.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Where should I go? Right about here. Just come forward. Right forward. Right center, right around here. All right. All right.
Block, yeah.
Like this, is this good? Good. Photoshop like this.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. You don't mind if I leave?
No.
Yes, right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to reports and remittances from town officers, resolution 249. I'm going to go too fast. Sure did. Thank you. Thank you. We will move to privilege of the floor. Is there anybody here that wishes to discuss any item before? Yes, sir.
Once again, William, I'm just starting to report to Mr. Dell was nice enough to speak with us beforehand, but I want to just get it on public record.
Go ahead and pull that mic.
I just want to get this on public record. Hopefully that more has to come under the folks have documentation that residents is speaking up regarding concerning Amazon building over on Shepherd Road with the lighting. I have done my due diligence to actually go out there with the meter, take a reading on the lighting, where it stands, and it's not even close. It's over 100. It's way over even 100% of what our town code is. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into the details because that's not my profession. But and I know the town's working, trying to resolve this with them. They got the lights off for the most part, and it seems like all of a sudden the lights are coming on for about 2 to 4 hours, likely, or periodically during the night for whatever strange reason. And the bottom line is, I guess, that they're going to go open this facility up. We're not going to have it resolved. And the amount of time it should be resolved right now. It shouldn't be a security issue because if they bring up a security issue to you, their gate's never locked. If you drive by Shepherd Road, that gate is open all the time. Okay, they could say, well, we're waiting for a new gate. Well, they've been waiting for a new gate. They can close the gate and put a padlock down. Okay, if there's a safety issue, there's things called bolt cutters. Okay, but like I said, I just wanted to get it on. Like I said, Mr. Zale was kind enough to talk to us about it and give us insight into it. But I just want documentation, basically sharing that. Yeah, it is a concern, and I have talked to other residents in the area that would prefer to have something done this way. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? What are the lights on? Because what are the lights on? Because the building inspector and the Ogden police, we've had them check it to see if the lights been out, they've been off.
They were on I can tell you for sure, they were on last Tuesday evening around 11 o'clock when my wife came home.
It's brand new. They just started coming back on again this week.
They've been on for the last month and a half, 3 months. We come on about 11:30 at night, and by 4:30, they're usually off. It's about a 4 or 5 hour span, 11 and 4. Every night.
I'll tell the building inspector tomorrow morning, but, we're under the impression lights were off.
Yeah, I sent Brian, as soon as my wife, because I look at my wife and go, and I'm usually looking at it about 9 o'clock. I have to go outside to actually, she told me at 11 o'clock, she goes out to our barn to take care of her horses. And I said, come on, you're not out. And she finally, here she's looking, I'm looking at her like you're crazy. And she basically stopped and took the pictures of it. And it's not, the picture that she sent to me, they were all out.
Yeah.
Parking lot, all the buildings, every light on that building were out there. And like I said, they come on 11 o'clock at night, why? And.
I think it's a glitch in the system right now, and I'm sure we'll address with Brian tomorrow. But we've had OPD check them for us at night, and we've checked them at night, and we thought they were off. So it's probably a glitch in the system that we didn't catch, but I know Brian's been checking with them periodically and make sure they're off.
That's fine, okay, but let's go to one next step. If they were open tomorrow, what would be your stand then from this town to say, sorry, you can't operate at night because you're out of code and you've had all this time to do that? Or do the residents have to put up with it until finally somebody does something? It's nothing now to prevent that part as well. Okay. I mean, they've had time. I brought this up to the town. You guys took care of it. But still, if they're going to consider, nobody knows when they're going to open this facility or when something's going to happen. Well, okay, so what does the town do for this scenario? Do they turn around, you guys turn around and say, sorry, keep all your lights out, you can only operate during the day? Or, like I say, are we as residents going to have to deal with it until they decide to go to correct it?
On our part, I'm really not sure about the lights. I just know that we addressed the issue of them going on, and I'm sorry to say that they're back on, but the other part of the issue, I'm not sure what to do with, but I thought we addressed the issue with the flashing lights in the front of it, thinking everything was off, but the two from it's not. I'll ask Brian about it again tomorrow, and we'll get them off.
Sounds like the lights themselves are okay.
The way that it was described is that there are several phases of the lights for different purposes. So it would make sense to have 3 different locations for lights: building, inside the parking, and there's another thing too. And what's happening is they're all on instead of at the various time of night you would have 1 of the 3 on. But I will say that, and I shared this with Bill, I'll share it with the rest of the board. Brian told me about this yesterday, and that he's addressed it with them. It's always a process trying to get in touch, because there's AdQuest, who is the manager, then there is the company that owns the building, then there's Amazon. There's 3 separate entities. And it's not an excuse, it's just the fact of the matter. So they've been reached out to address the problem, and we won't stop until there is a resolution. It's the building, it's the property owner that is responsible at this time. I can share their information if you'd like to contact them.
Can I email you on that?
Sure can.
Okay, I got no problem.
I'd be happy to give you their information. Thank you.
Is it a local?
It's not.
Yeah, I like to have it that way. I know that I got the press phone and all that information.
It would be my pleasure. Anybody else that wishes to address the board at this time? Okay, we'll close privilege of the floor, and now we will move to reports on remittances of town officers. Resolution 249. 294. Thank you, Steve.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item, resolution 295. Second, moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Reports from town officers. We had a rather large meeting, I would say, to discuss with an architect to discuss the designs and potential plans for an addition to this building that would include a senior community center, which led to a larger conversation about an entire master plan for the building. And that's an ongoing conversation, but the senior center itself and the design plans were approved by the board, at least the money, the funding for those plans. And so we'll be continuing to work with that architect, not just on that, but on a potential set of design plans for this building. We met with the building inspector to go through that, and we did actually go kind of department by department to better understand the needs that should be addressed. Specifically, there are several needs in the police department that I've come to understand that we get dinged on whenever and someone comes through and assesses, you know, the holding cells and things of that nature. Yeah. And so there are a number of issues that should be addressed. Clearly, it would be a huge financial commitment, but we don't know what we don't know. And I think it would behoove us to take a look at a couple sets of plans and ideas for what's possible. We did swear in 2 new members of the Ogden Special Police, Justin Brigg and Darlene Sober, whose father was in the Special Police at one point. So that was really special. We have a meeting tomorrow with BOCES and the company that's in charge of the AV project, just to finalize some of the details with video storage. So we're working on that. We did host the school safety test task force that happened here a couple of weeks back. We had several school districts, several county sheriffs were here, and an awful lot of people presenting testimony on school safety. That was a really good event. Today we had a kickoff for the municipal project. There were some good details in there, mostly for Brian and Sue. It was good to get that project started. I did want to say officially, because I don't know that I've said this before, but we officially will be, pending a signed agreement, the first town to reopen a mobile DMV in Montgomery County. And pretty excited about that, and the work that it'll take to get there is actually not excruciating and expensive, but there are some things that we need to address first to make sure that we've got a year-long plan and address any of the things that are within the agreement. But we passed, they've offered, and we just need to have a signed agreement, which we'll probably discuss next month. I will also say that we're conducting interviews next week for 2 potential lateral transfers to OPD to replace Sergeant Richard's open position. He left, became a sergeant, and became a sergeant because we promoted a sergeant to police chief. And we've got 2 interviews for that set up for next week. And hopefully then we will be close to fully staffed. We're still down a part-time and a DARE officer as well. And I've actually invited the police chief next meeting to come and give us updates. I think we should get regular updates, quarterly updates on how things are going. And so that's something that I want to initiate as well. Okay, that's it for now. Councilman Baker. No report. Thank you, sir. Councilman Gerbino. No report. Councilman Hinman.
Not much. I just did attend the zoning board meetings to see how things are going there, and spoke with some of the members there. Things are going smoothly. But I also just wanted to say thanks to you, because I know you've been working hard with the whole mobile DMV thing, and I've been really annoyed by that. It just seems like we were kind of getting pushed around. But it's a little thing, but it's a big deal I think for our residents and our citizens in Ogden. So I appreciate you working on that. So thanks.
Appreciate that.
That's it.
Councilman Thomas.
No report.
Dan Wolf.
We're doing leaf collection. It's going pretty well. We're on our 7th time around through the town. doesn't seem to like it. We did try the lawnmower, brought up last month. Here's that transfer of money that we'll be purchasing to do some time cutting of the lawn. That's it.
Very good. Noel Burling.
Elections were held yesterday, everything in the town of Miami. I know they were all extremely busy, so everything went well, and we are getting ready for the town of Concord.
Good. And you, I understand, have a report for us for the town attorney's
Yes,
report.
that is correct. Mr. Shoma apologizes he couldn't be here tonight. He does want to report on a couple of matters which he has undertaken since the last meeting. Preliminary, I would like to send my congratulations to Assessor Bob Criddle upon his retirement. Bob has furnished Superior Assessment Services to the town throughout his services. And another matter with the county planning board referral has been received, and the county indicates that they take no action to the rezoning request. Accordingly, the rezoning can move forward this evening. A full presentation was previously made by the applicant to the town board. He's furnished a copy of the legal notice that will be published upon adoption of the resolution. Lastly, in response to the public comments made at the last town board meeting, I am pleased to advise that the town of Ogden has received an audit report for the activities of the Gates Volunteer Ambulance Services Inc. For the 2019 fiscal year, as well as an itemized budget for the calendar year 2022 and a proposed 2023 budget as well. The information furnished further confirms that none of the board of directors or other officers of the Gates Volunteer Ambulance Service Inc. received any compensation for their services to the organization. These reports have been forwarded to the town finance director for review of the audits and comments. Lastly, Ellicott Development is in the process of finalizing the work necessary to dedicate the sanitary sewer installed by them at their sole cost and expense on the south side of Nickel Street. The town engineer is in the process of inspecting and certifying the completeness of the sewers, and upon his final report, Ellicott Development will be in the position to dedicate such improvements to the Ogden Consolidated Sewer District.
Thank you. And I did actually forget that one point. They did submit actually tax returns or budgets, I should say, including a few CPA audits from 2018 all the way through the proposed 2023 budget. I'm talking about the Gates ambulance. I've read all of them. I've asked our finance director to read through all of them. I've asked the town attorney to read through all of them. And once that's completed, the three of us will sit down with the Gates ambulance and ask any questions that stick out to us. But you're also welcome to review all of those if anyone would like to. Thank you. No unfinished business. We'll move on to new business, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 296, negative declaration for environmental significance for the rezoning application of Gillette Road, Ogden LLC to rezone 4.01 acres at tax map number 117.02-1-6.11 from L2. I'm sorry, for L1 light industrial to R2 single family residential.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Towns. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 297, approving the rezoning application of Gillette Road, Ogden LLC, 4.0 plus or minus acres at tax map number 117.02-1-6.11 from L1 light industrial to R2 single family residential.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Towns. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 298, appointing Brian Grant as a voting member of the Upstate New York Municipal Workers' Compensation Program, and Nicole Dobson as the alternate voting member, and Mike Sale as the facilitator.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councilman Inman, seconded by Councilman Trujillo. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Item, please.
Resolution 299, authorizing the town of Ogden to approve a change order for MRC game time related to adjustments to the Ogden Community Center Playground project.
I'll move that. Second.
Moved by Councilman Trevino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 300, authorizing acting town supervisor Mike Sale to sign an amendment to the professional services agreement between the town of Ogden and GAR Associates LLC.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Trevino. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Resolution 301, authorizing the transfer of funds to account for the purchase of a new remote lawn mower.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Trevino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 302, authorizing the transfer of funds to account for the purchase of a computer for the town's new safety coordinator.
So moved. I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Thomas. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 303, approving the promotion of Ashley Goder to the position of Office Clerk 2 effective November 6, 2022, with a 26-week probationary period.
Moved by Councilman Trevino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Resolution 304, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sale to execute a memorandum of agreement between the town of Ogden and the Ogden Police Club regarding the designation of a uniformed investigator.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Trevino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Item carries. This is 7:32, so I would like to make a motion that we adjourn to work session. Seconded by Councilman Thomas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.